Hey, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. This may be a longer video. I have quite a bit I want to talk about. So, for those of you who like to put this on and clean house or do something while you're listening, this might be a good one for you because I just have a lot to say. So, it's quite interesting to learn how little some of these creators that claim to be true crime actually know and understand about the legal system and the court processes, procedures, things like that, whenever they claim to be so passionate about true crime. Because you notice that a lot of true crime creators will jump onto cases that are trending and they'll stay with that case while it's exciting and they can investigate and all that. But then as soon as someone is arrested or it starts not being as popular in the news cycle, and I hate to use the word popular, but unfortunately, that's what applies to what some creators look for in cases. But as soon as it isn't that anymore, they move on to the next. They don't ever follow through with what happens in the courtroom, what happens in between the arrest of someone and getting to the courtroom and the whole trial and the outcome of the trial. They don't go through all of that. So they don't really understand what happens after someone is arrested for a crime. And there's a whole lot that happens. And BJ, of course, is one of these creators that definitely jumps onto whatever's trending at the moment because there's lots of reasons, in my opinion, that she does this. One is she actually thinks that she is doing these deep dive investigations and she's going to uncover something that the investigators didn't catch. I really think that she believes that about herself, which is crazy. But also, she doesn't like to do work. She doesn't want to put any effort into anything. So when these cases are trending, it's easy for her to just turn on any news station or Law and Crime or any other large creator that's covering it and just play their content and commentate on it. She doesn't have to actually do research or remember anything, or she will find Facebook groups that are covering it and have all the rumors and gossip in it, and she will use that as her content. Now, she used to have full panels of people that would come up and there would be a group discussion about the case, and she would even have some panel guests that had their own channels and actually put effort into them and did, charts or spreadsheets or outlines of things, like actually put work into it and brought it to her channel. But DJ herself did not want to have to put any work into it. So when you have these trending cases that are top of the news stories, it's very easy for her to just click something on and have it there at her fingertips and not have to do any work at all. Like Craig said, they can just hit the live button and talk and make money. And that's what she likes to do. Now, she likes to play detective and look at the information that they're hearing from Law and Crime or other large creators and act like she knows what's happening and that she's catching on to things that nobody else saw. But in reality, this is all she's commenting on things that were looked into on day 2 of the investigation. She just doesn't realize it. And it's glaringly obvious that she doesn't follow cases to the courtroom. She has no clue how all of the processes, procedures, delays, motions, evidence, all of those things that are involved. She has no idea how any of that works. I honestly think that BJ believes that once someone's arrested, they get their attorney, and then the people that are on jury duty come in to sit during the trial. They get a few months to prepare, and then court's held. And I think she is truly clueless as to all of the technicalities, the motions, the requirements, the everything that goes into a court case, and how social media can affect court cases in today's time of social media getting very involved into true crime. I don't think she understands the double jeopardy clause. I don't think she understands the jury pools and how extensive it can be looking for your jurors, and how social media is really starting to affect the ability to find a jury pool that is not biased, that has not somehow been touched or tainted by the coverage of this case. I don't think she understands about pleading and how the plea deals work, the amount of motions that can be filed before the trial even starts, like motions to dismiss, motion for change of venue, motion to suppress, all of that kind of thing. I think she has absolutely no idea what any of it means or how it works in a courtroom in a trial. After arrest, a trial may happen in 1 to 2 years, while the more complex cases like capital murder can take much longer. There can also be continuances, evaluations for fitness to stand trial, so many things that go into it. And I'm just realizing as I listen to BJ talk about some of the legal and court things that are happening that she's involved in, I am realizing how little she knows about the legal system and how the court operates and proper procedure, and that things aren't as easy as calling someone up and saying, "Hey, I need more time." It doesn't work that way. But I think there's a lot of true crime, quote, true crime creators that also fall in this category. I don't think BJ's alone in not understanding all of the nuances that come with court proceedings. And I think there's a lot of creators that don't follow these cases into the courtroom to see what the outcome is, to see how things play out and how all of these things that they're so called deep dive investigating while looking into the case, and BJ will find something and she's like, "Oh, look, I caught this. She said this here, but said this over here." And she really thinks that she has discovered something that the investigators didn't see. And I think that if she actually watched a court trial, she would see that there are so many things that investigators know that they do not release to the public because they don't want to give up their entire case. So all of these things that she thinks she's discovering and being such a good investigator at, and there's lots of creators like this, it's not just her. I think it would be good for them to follow through an entire court case. So let me try to explain. So BJ starts this legal fund to go after the people that are harassing her, right? So she has C&Ds drawn up by this attorney that she has hired. Allegedly, the attorney authors these C&Ds, ships them FedEx out to 3 people: Clue, Queen, Granny. Now, BJ keeps saying there's 4 C&Ds, that Cletus was supposed to get a separate one. I don't know. Clue and Cletus have not reported that there was a separate one for Cletus. So, as far as I know, there was only 3 that went out. These were authored and sent by her attorney, per BJ. That's what she is saying, okay? So, I know a lot of people say a C&D means nothing. You wipe your ass with it. And a lot of people don't have an attorney behind their C&D. They will type it up themselves, email it, whatever, send it, and it's not a very official thing. And most people on YouTube are not going to follow through with anything after a C&D. In this case, you did have an attorney sending them, but you also had BJ and Craig going around continuing to make threats about what they were going to do to these people that they sent the C&Ds to, talking about going to YouTube, talking about taking channels down, talking about filing defamation lawsuits. All of this was still being discussed, right? So the C&Ds were taken a little more seriously because it was an attorney and there were threats being made constantly behind it, right? So Clue got her C&D and the deadline on it had already passed, the deadline to respond, right? I think that Queen's still had a day or 2 left before the deadline, and Granny's also. And Granny responded the following day to BJ's attorney, not to BJ, because it wasn't sent from BJ, it was sent from her attorney. This was a legal thing. So she responded to BJ's attorney. That attorney never replied to Granny or responded in any way to what was sent. And Granny had sent something that was contesting what had been accused in this C&D. So no response from the attorney while you continue to have BJ and Craig making threats. So Granny goes to her attorney that she already has in Pennsylvania, which, by the way, is already handling another lawsuit involving BJ in the state of Pennsylvania. So it would make sense for this to be moved to Pennsylvania, where Granny is, and also where there is another litigation already taking place involving the 2 of them. So they order this judgment, right? Because it puts some type of, how do I word this? It puts some way of monitoring the C&D and the threats being made. It's something put into the court system that keeps track of, this happened, these threats are being made. We want to know if these are actually things that could be brought before a court civilly or not. And if it is, we want to move jurisdiction to Pennsylvania, where Granny resides and where there is already another litigation between the 2 of them in progress. Because nobody wants to live every day with the threat of their income being taken away, or the threat of another lawsuit being thrown upon you for no reason. Just all of these threats that are just hanging over you. Nobody wants to live that way, especially when you're already dealing with so much. So Granny went to her attorney and they have this declaratory judgment filed in Pennsylvania. And by doing that, something is entered into the court docket. This makes it trackable for how things are happening, who's responding, what's going on with this for future reference, should anything else legal come of this. And it's also to kind of put some type of structure to this legal threat that is happening, right? So it is now a part of the court. This is something that a lot of people laughed about whenever Granny filed it. A lot of people on BJ's side wanted to say that this was nothing. This was just a piece of paper that didn't mean anything, that it was something to laugh at, that it was the wool was being pulled over people's eyes because it didn't mean anything. Well, guess what? It meant something. It put it into the court system. It made it to where BJ can't just call up Granny's attorney and say, hey, I need more time. You can't do that because whenever Granny's attorney filed this, he filed it with the attorney that sent the C&D as the attorney representing BJ, because that is how the C&D went out. I don't understand why BJ doesn't get that. I mean, that's a pretty simple concept to understand. If an attorney is the one that authored this and sent it, then he would be the one that is following through with whatever action happens after that, right? Because if you're going to the trouble of getting an attorney to do the C&Ds, you have to be ready for people to say, no, I'm not going to comply. And in that case, you go ahead with whatever consequence you had laid out for this person, because that's what a C&D is. You're trying to get them to stop a behavior, and if they don't, here's what's going to happen. So if you send that and then you don't follow up on it, what is the purpose of it, right? Why? And it's interesting because in Clue's C&D, one of the consequences was filing for a no contact order, which ended up happening, right? But her attorney was not attached to it, which is very interesting because, again, the attorney is the one that sent these out and was behind them, had his name on them. But then when they start doing consequences to it, he's not attached suddenly. It's very strange. And we see how the no contact order thing played out. Not very well in BJ's favor, understandably so. So here again, we have a C&D that consequences are playing out from it, not from BJ, but from Granny. And BJ's attorney is attached to it because he is the one who sent the C&D. So BJ doesn't understand that she has to go to the court and declare that she is pro se to get the attorney taken off there. She can't just call up the opposing attorney and talk to him on the phone. And it's just odd to me that BJ at one point even said, a C&D is a courtesy to the person you're sending it to let them know that if they don't comply, I'm asking you to do this. If you don't, this is what's going to happen. She stated at one point that she knew this, but then now she's acting as if she wasn't prepared to do things after people didn't comply, right? And I know that her attorney has to realize that there's a filing in Pennsylvania because he was sent not notice of it to his office because his name's on it and it's entered into the court. So did he not tell BJ that there was more that had to be done to get him removed? Like was there a conversation? That makes me wonder if she is even still in communication with this attorney, because you would think that he would want to file something to get his name taken off if BJ was going to continue on pro se, right? You would think if they were having conversations about continuing actions being done, that there would have been something discussed about, hey, I'm not going to be representing you in the Pennsylvania thing, so I'm going to file a motion to get removed, and then you're going to be pro se. But it seems like she had no idea that's what happened. And instead, she was calling the court in Pennsylvania to get advice on what to do. And because she's saying that's who told her to call up Granny's attorney. So it's all very weird. Just like everything else surrounding this flat rate attorney that she has, things are not adding up. Things are weird. There's just something completely off about everything that is happening in that situation. And this being one of them. I don't understand how she can still be contacting this attorney, but couldn't go to him about giving an extension or what to do, who to call. Very, very strange to me. And we know that this attorney was sent notice from the courts that his name is on this filing in Pennsylvania. So it's just weird because there had to be a formal motion filed to get him off of the case. And you would think he would have done that. And there's so many people in BJ's community that are just going along with everything that she's saying, even if it sounds completely absurd to them or it makes no sense. They are continuing to just play along, go along with a lie, go along with stories that don't make sense And I don't understand that at all. I would never stand behind someone that was giving excuses that made absolutely no sense. I would be asking questions. And if that creator wasn't willing to answer my questions, I would be out of there because it would be obvious that there's something that is being hidden or something that is not truthful going on. So it just shocks me that people are so willing to go along with someone either out of hatred for other people or out of pity or sympathy for what this person is going through or what they perceive this person to be going through. Okay, y'all know I love my analogies for things to try to make things a little easier to see. So this one is going to be, imagine this attorney has a credit card, okay? And this is his credit card. It only has his name on it. No one else can use it, only him. So he has to be there to put it in the machine or hand it to the cashier for it to work. He has signed the back that says must see ID when using this card, right? Now, BJ is the one going around the store, picking the items to buy, putting them up on the counter, and the cashier scans them. He gives the card, he pays, that's that. Now the bill comes, and BJ's subs are footing the bill. They're the ones making the payment to cover the merchandise that BJ has picked out that the attorney has ultimately paid for. So here we have a group of people paying the credit card bill, BJ purchasing the items that make the bill, and the attorney swiping the card and owning the card that pays it, right? So imagine one day BJ takes the card and goes into Best Buy alone without her attorney there, picks out all the things, puts them on the counter, goes up to the cashier, hands her the card, and expects her to take the card and, run it through. Well, the back of the card says must see ID to process this transaction, right? Well, the attorney's not there. It's his card, it's his ID that needs to be shown. So he's not there to show it. So that transaction isn't going to happen because the card owner is not there. You can't skip that step. Now, he can go and put in a request for a secondary card for BJ to have her own card to use on her own. But until that happens, she can't take his credit card and buy things with it, right? Does that make any sense? So the same thing with the court. His name is on the C&D and what they are filing the judgment for, right? And BJ's name is on there, but she is not the primary person. The attorney is. So that attorney has to be removed so that BJ can take over and handle it, right? Maybe that makes things I feel like when I can put things into everyday situations, it kind of helps me to understand better and picture it differently. So, and I know all of us learn differently. That's one of the things with these audio posts. There are people that just do not enjoy my novel community post, and I get it, really. There are people that just they don't learn that way. They don't take things in that way. There are people that could read through that entire paragraph and not remember any of it afterward because that's not the kind of learner they are. So the auditory learners can listen to my audio post and that's pleasing to them. That's the way that they get something out of it, right? And then there's people that need both, and there's some that need interactive. And I think the analogies kind of help for people that need the interactive part of it to really have imagery of what I'm saying instead of a bunch of technical words or things that I've researched or read, right? So hopefully it helps. It helps me. Well, and then you, of course, have people now that are kind of starting to question things because it's obvious that BJ is doing some things that don't make sense for you to do if you have an attorney advising you. And she will not pinpoint down what is happening, what her plans are, what this money is going to. It has been, 4 months now. And the only thing that they have seen come to fruition from this lawyer fund are the C&Ds, right? And a whole lot of talk from BJ and Craig. And then BJ coming out saying Craig is drunk. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And I'm sure that because she says Craig doesn't hear what's happening on the stream, I'm sure that he doesn't know that she's said that or that her mods have said that and she's pinned it, that, he's drunk. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So, but people are starting to kind of wonder what's happening because if she's under advisement of an attorney, there are things happening that shouldn't be happening, such as her trying to call up Granny's attorney. You have people like Brenda who are requesting a refund because things are not adding up. And, it was interesting with Brenda's donation anyway, because BJ had already added up over $8,000 she had received from the legal fund. And she didn't even include Brenda's money into that. She actually didn't even notice that $1,500 had been given to her. So, what does that tell you about her banking account if you do not realize $1,500 has been deposited? I mean, I sure would notice. But anyway, so you have that happening. And in Elevated Truths chat the other day, Queen offered to assist Brenda in figuring out how to request a refund. And of course, VJ flipped out about that and was like, where's all my clip channels, clippers? Y'all want to clip this, clip it. Where's Jonesin when you need her? Like she calls the shots for Jonesin. Like she can say, Jonesin, this is what you need to put in there. And she's just going to come do it. And we'll see. It may happen. I don't know. But I just thought it was funny how BJ has now determined that Jonesin is her mouthpiece. You know, she'll review Jonesin's streams like before, compliment Jonesin. She's beautiful, she's pretty, she's funny. Even though she says mean things about me, she's so nice, she's so pretty, you know, the love bombing bullshit, because Jonesin is saying the things that BJ wants to say. But BJ supposedly has this attorney watching her, so she doesn't want to directly say it. She needs to play Jonesin's live and go off of what she says. Or she needs to play Lemon's live and go off what he says. She can't say it herself because she's trying to appear like the good girl here. But BJ and Craig both are talking about Granny thinking that lawsuits are this big show and that this is their real life. This isn't a show. And are you fucking kidding me? Whenever I heard Craig say that, oh my God, I can't. He literally said, she's acting like this is a big show. This is our real lives. Dude, this has been Granny's real life for over a year now. She has dealt with this every day, worrying about how she's going to pay this attorney, worrying about having 10 plaintiffs coming at her in a lawsuit that she can't afford. This has been her real life this whole time. She didn't bring this to YouTube. The plaintiffs brought this to YouTube and made it content on YouTube. I mean, Granny didn't even know about the lawsuit until YouTube started announcing it as content. So for y'all to sit over there and say that Granny has made this a big show and made it into something like a competition or a circus or whatever, because she comes on here and gives updates on what is happening and talks about the filing. Well, she wasn't given the option of keeping it quiet because it was brought here by the plaintiff. BJ, you brought Tony's here and read it yourself. So it's really funny to me that y'all want to put all of this stuff out as content, but whenever she has things that her attorney is filing back, suddenly that's a bad thing and it shouldn't be talked about on mine and it shouldn't be content and it shouldn't be about a show. Give me a break. A lot of this has all been about production and making things appear a certain way and getting views and numbers and money. And I'm sorry, but Granny is not the one doing that, okay? If Granny had a choice, I guarantee she would do without all of this from the beginning, right? But since the plaintiffs all wanted to bring this into the public spotlight and make it content on YouTube, Granny is going to put her side out too. And she has subs that donated money towards this. So unlike BJ, who claims she's transparent, yet says nothing about what's happening, Granny is actually keeping her subs updated with what their money is doing. So when people give money, they know that things are happening behind the scenes that we can't see, because a lot of motions and emails and calls and things happen that aren't in the public and we don't see them. So whenever it looks like nothing is moving forward, Granny will give updates to the people that have given money so that they know that their money is actually working. It is doing something. It's not just sitting in her bank account, right? That is being transparent. BJ coming on here, not saying anything about what her attorney is doing at all. Like, she doesn't have to give little details, but a general idea of what the fuck is happening would be nice for the people that donated. So her coming on here and not giving anything of that sort, but showing some invoices that anyone could create on their own, that's not transparent. Granny coming on here and reading the motions that her attorney is doing, emails that her attorney is getting and sending, that lets us know that the money we donate is going towards what she said it's going towards, because we all know attorneys do not work for free. And Granny's attorney is not a flat rate attorney. So it's not about Granny making this into a show. It is about other people made it a show. And she is putting her side of it out, and she is letting the people who donated know what their money is doing. And I hope everybody heard BJ come out and say $8,000 isn't much. It's groceries and a few bills. Because what the fuck? Are you kidding me? $8,000? I can't even tell you how much my life would benefit from $8,000, and it would not go towards groceries and a few bills. I mean, that's unreal. If that is what she spends a month on groceries, it's crazy. But it does track, because I don't know if people remember when she accidentally showed her back office and she was making 5.5K on one channel a month. And she made a comment then that that is not a lot for a family of 4. 5,000 a month is not a lot. And I remember thinking at the time, what are you talking about? There are families of 6, 8 that don't make $5,000 a month, that would kill to make $5,000 a month. There are people struggling everywhere, and BJ is completely tone deaf to that. She is so entitled. She can sit up there all day and talk about people losing food stamps, and she can sit up there and talk about she understands people are struggling, and don't worry about if you can't become a member this month. She understands. And then the next breath, she's talking about $8,000 buys groceries and a few bills. We know she doesn't have a mortgage, a car payment, a water payment because she's on a well. I believe her bills per Craig are a power bill, internet bill. So they don't have a lot of bills. So it's, I don't know. It's unreal to me. And if people can hear her say that and that doesn't raise any red flags for you, then I guess you're probably making $8,000 a month too. I don't know. That's unreal to me. $8,000 is a lot of money. And there has been multiple times and ways that she has said recently that $8,000 is pretty much a measly amount to her and nothing, right? I can't agree with that. So let's see. Let's jump to Halloween, because I have a few things to say about this, right? So BJ has been streaming for 4 years now. I have watched her since her channel started, even before, I listened to her other places, saw her from when the channel started, know that she has never filmed anything where she is doing something with her children. There was one short that was done that was her kids playing with filters, and she left that up for a long time, but never trick-or-treating or going somewhere doing something with the kids. So why now? Why, with everything going on that she claims is going on, did she choose now to do this? Here, she has just filed for no contact orders against 2 people and lost. She has talked about daily that she is harassed and stalked. She is scared to go outside. She's scared when she hears a noise. She has to carry weapons with her everywhere she goes. She's terrified. She's scared for her kids. They aren't safe, just everything. Right. After all of this talk about how scared she is, that this is the time that she chooses to take her kids out without Craig at night and film it, right? So she's out here on Halloween night, taking her kids door to door, people everywhere with costumes, some with full face masks on. You got kids screaming and people jumping out, scaring people. And here's BJ with her 2 kids, laughing, having the time of her life, sounded like she had not a care in the world, as her kids run up to a house that is partially obscured by all the decorations in the yard. And don't get me wrong, I think it's great that she took her kids out and had a good time. What I'm talking about is the issue of being terrified, yet still doing this. That's the issue, not that she took our kids out, because I think that's a great thing. So me, as a victim of stalking, let me tell you what I saw watching that video. I saw a house. I don't know how many people live there or are out in the yard handing out candy or scaring kids. I can't see the front porch and the front door because there are a lot of decorations of actually an entrance to the yard. There is numerous adults larger than me in the full costume that seem to be part of the home's Halloween festivities, but I can't be sure because they're in the full face mask and I can't tell who they are, and I don't normally know who lives there. And they're wandering around. I see a street full of people, kids, adults, vehicles passing by, lots of noise, lots of talking, lots of yelling. I saw two clowns in full costume that appear out from under a hanging decoration and were looking straight at her. Don't know who these people are, don't know if there's somebody that belonged there or not. I see her viewing her surroundings through the lens of her phone. So she's not really aware of everything around her, especially behind her, where there's people walking with their kids, people in costume walking behind her out of her sight, vehicles driving by the road behind her, letting kids in and out of their cars, not knowing who's in the vehicles, who could be there. All of this is what I saw looking at this as a victim of stalking. All of these things that would terrify me, all of the things that would keep me from going. It makes zero sense to me that this is the time that she chose to go out in public with her children, who she claims is the main source of her fear that something would happen to her kids. But yet she chose to take them out in this environment scared. Did she have her weapons on her? Because she said she can't leave the house without two weapons, right? I mean, she can't pump her gas without putting her back to the gas pump. But she is standing in the midst of people in groups walking around unidentifiable homes that you don't know who lives there, you don't know who belongs there and who doesn't, people that could be videotaping you and you don't know it. There was just so many things that gave me anxiety thinking about, because I was trying to put myself in her shoes and figure out why in the world she felt okay doing this. And all I felt was anxiety and the thought that I would never do that, ever. You know, as someone who has truly felt that fear, anytime that I plan to go somewhere, I think about my surroundings before I even go. I think about how many people will be around, how many exits will be around, how many cars will be driving by or near me, how much lighting the area has. You know, all of these things are things that I consider before I go out and do anything because of that fear. It is very, very obvious to me that BJ is not in fear for her life. Because, you know, she then the next day goes on her live and says this was the first time she felt safe to post a video of her kids doing something so innocent and wholesome. And then, of course, she takes the victim role of people are reviewing the video and she says talking shit on her kids. I don't know who was talking shit on her kids. I didn't hear that. But the wording that she used, that this was the first time she felt safe to go out with her kids and tape this. Why? Why now? Why, in the midst of all the chaos, of all of the things happening that she needed to get an attorney for, she feels safe? Those words rang out to me more than anything she said. Like that's all I heard for a few minutes. It kept running through my mind. First time I felt safe. And so I was trying to think, has something happened recently that has changed things where she would feel safe suddenly? Has there been some kind of breakthrough or court order or anything that has made it where she can feel more safe? And there's nothing, you know, and actually I would think she would feel less safe because she didn't get the no contact order. It makes no sense to me. And it tells me that she has felt safe this whole time. There's no fear for her life. There's no fear for her kids. She could not go out and do what she did, come back and make that statement and be in fear for her life. I'm telling you, that one statement meant so much to me, said so much to me. And I hope other people really think about that comment and what it means and realize how much bullshit she has been putting out about how many threats and how much danger she's in. Because in my opinion, after seeing that and hearing her say that, it's been a bunch of bullshit. And that pisses me off as a victim. So I don't know who was talking shit on her kids. Now, I do think that there are people that were confused by her son's costume being a toilet. Because if you don't have young kids, you don't understand that there's a character that is a toilet, right? So you just see this as a kid dressed up as a toilet. And then BJ told a story about how he didn't want to wear it whenever they were ready to go out. He didn't want to wear it, and she really had to talk him into it. So the people that didn't understand that this was a character and not just a toilet didn't understand the full concept of what was happening there. To people that don't understand, it did seem like something odd, but you were trying to convince your child to dress up as a toilet, right? But I don't think that's talking shit on him. I think that was not understanding fully the situation. So then BJ talks about how she watched Joneson review the Halloween parody panel that was on Duchess's channel. And BJ, it's just so weird watching her because she goes through so many different emotions, whatever fits the moment. It's not really how she feels, it's whatever fits the moment. So she thought Joneson was hilarious. She's so funny. And BJ's repeating over and over, I live rent free in their heads, rent free, baby. And then she was like, I got the biggest cringe from watching them. It was just cringe. That's all. It was cringe. But she seemed to really enjoy being parodied, in my opinion. But then something happened, and the next day, she suddenly is calling Duchess out and being a complete asshole to her, which I don't appreciate. Duchess is a very kind, good-hearted person who cares about true crime, who cares about victims, who cares about missing kids. And for BJ to say that she doesn't really care about missing children because she supports people who attack children, no. Mm-mm. No, we're not doing that. Duchess cuts loose for one night and does a Halloween parody panel, has some fun. And suddenly, because it hurt BJ's feelings, suddenly Duchess doesn't care about missing kids and she's a bad person. No, we're not. That's not. No. That's what pisses me off about BJ is she can take any situation and twist it around to make it appear so much different than what it actually is. The way that she portrays Clue and Cletus and Nonsense and Queen Bee and Granny as attacking her kids is false. Nobody is attacking her kids. Anything that is said about BJ's parenting towards her kids is towards BJ's parenting. And her kids should not know anything that is said about BJ's parenting towards them. But she repeats all of it where they can hear it because they're in the room with her when she's doing these streams. So it's funny because Joneson had a Halloween parody special the year before, and that was all based around Queen Bee and making fun of Queen Bee. And BJ sure thought that was funny. It's always funny when it's happening to someone else, but when it happens to BJ, it's unacceptable, and those people are evil and bad. They don't care about missing kids. They're just bad people. Well, no, we're not doing that. Duchess is a wonderful person who has genuine care about the cases that she covers. So just because she chose to have a Halloween parody, have some fun, doesn't make her a bad person. Also, BJ, people don't have to personally know you to review you or not like you. They don't have to have had personal interactions with you. You don't have to have done something personally to them for them to not like you. There is no propaganda being put out about you. We watch what you say and what you do with our own eyes. We watch full streams with all the context in it, and we hear the words coming out of your mouth, and that's how we decide whether or not we like you or not. We don't need people to tell us what to think. Like, we don't do things over here to manipulate the truth or to twist things around. People here are actually reviewing the full streams that you do so that everyone gets the entire context and can make that judgment for themselves. We don't need propaganda over here. There is no lying going on unless it's coming from your mouth, because that's what we are listening to, your mouth, what's coming out of your mouth. So, but for you to act like people can't critique you or review you because they don't know you, or for you to say that people can't dislike you when they don't know you personally is crazy, because this is YouTube. We don't need to know you to review you. There's lots of creators that I watch and decide that I don't care for them just by their streams, by what they're saying, what they're doing. So people don't need to know you to decide if they like you or not. And how many times has she repeated in the past few weeks that she's being dogpiled, that all of these creators are cowards because they have to come together to go at her, that they can't do it individually. They had to come together as a group to go at her. And she says over and over, I'm just one person. I've got all of these people coming at me. I'm just one person. They're cowards. And the word dogpile gets repeated so much. It's insane. But let's think about that. how many people did it take to file a lawsuit against Granny and Barbecue? You had 10 plaintiffs enter into a legal filing against 2 women. To me, that is a dog pile. That is something that greatly affects their lives. You have got people coming together as a group to gather, quote, evidence against 2 people. So BJ and her mod group, came together behind the scenes to talk about what needed to be gathered. And they all went out and got evidence to bring back so that they could then dogpile against Granny and Barbecue in a court of law. So I'm really tired of hearing her say that she's being dogpiled, that she's one person, because we're talking about being reviewed on YouTube. We're not talking about something as serious as a lawsuit, something as serious as being taken to court by 10 plaintiffs. So you can really quit with the whole dogpile thing. You have no leg to stand on in that arena because you are the one that participated in dogpiling. You, BJ, you did it. Okay, now, just like the rest of this video, I'm speaking completely from my opinion only, and my opinions are based on my own personal and professional experience, okay? And whenever I say the word nod, now you can nod off to sleep or you can nod from a substance. So just because I say nodding off or nod, that does not mean I'm implying that there's a substance involved because you can nod off to sleep as well. So BJ has been bragging recently that she's been getting enough sleep at night, so she's not been falling asleep on stream. And that proves that everyone who accused her of substance abuse was wrong, that she just needed her sleep and she's fine now. And that she's been logging off when she gets tired and she's been getting enough sleep at night, so she's not doing it anymore. Well, you're also going to notice she doesn't go on camera much anymore. And those of us who pay attention to things know that there are a few key phrases that she says whenever she comes out of a nod. There are just certain things that are repeat phrases that we know to be related to her coming back to and joining back into the topic that she was talking about. And, generally, if it's during the day or it's a drama stream, these are pretty short periods, but we can still hear them happening because we know the things that she says afterwards. So we can hear her get quiet for a minute or two, and then you'll hear one of those key phrases come in, and you know that she has just nodded for a second. Now, it's not a deep nod, it's one of the more mild ones where she's staying pretty much with topic and snaps out of it pretty quickly. And those happen generally whenever she's really engaged in whatever she's talking about. But then there's the true crime streams where she is playing videos about things, or there's long pauses, or she's reading something, anything where she is not just really engaged and interested. And it's been really bad, guys. And I mean really bad. The breathing part of it. Her true crime nods recently have been super bad. And I mean, they sound bad. And I know I've explained this before, but briefly, there are many substances that are abused that cause respiratory depression, which means depression of the part of your brain that triggers breathing, that triggers you to take that next breath. And it actually affects the part of your central nervous system that also triggers you to clear secretions, such as your own saliva, your own spit, right? Now, I have watched many, many people pass away because of my job in hospice. This is something that I did. I have been at the bedside of many people and have heard a death rattle more times than I can count. I have given patients many different medications to try to dry up their secretions so that they don't experience that death rattle. But I'm going to tell you that when I listen to her, and specifically the nods during the true crime streams where she sounds like she is struggling to breathe, it sounds like she is not clearing secretions. There are people that think that she is faking this, and I just disagree. I don't think that she is faking it to get attention. I don't think that you can fake that noise. It is such a natural, just bodily response to things. I don't think that you can fake that. I don't know what the benefit would be for faking that because she's actually lost subs over it. And I don't know what she would gain from it. I guess she could gain attention and people talking about it, but I think that it has harmed her more than it has benefited her. And she has many other signs as a person who has witnessed it in family members and in the medical profession. There are other signs that she has that makes me convinced that this is a real thing and she is not faking it. And basically what it is she has decreased consciousness and whatever, whether it's sleeping or substance, she is not being triggered to swallow or cough to clear the saliva, the secretions out of her airway. And that is what you hear in there. It was interesting the other night because she actually took in a deep breath through her mouth. You did not hear any wheezing, rattling, nothing. It sounded completely clear. And then she tried to tell us that this noise was coming from breathing through her nose, that her nose was really stopped up. No, that noise does not come from your nose. That's not a possibility. So I don't even think that this was necessarily asthma. I think that this was secretion related. And you can't convince me otherwise because I heard her take in that deep breath and it was completely clear. I really believe that it's secretion. So now I'll tell you a little bit of the medical research I did on this today. So this was actually from the American Lung Association website. Misuse of opioids can suppress breathing and block air from entering the lungs, leading to hypoxia. They can also exacerbate asthma symptoms. Having an existing lung disease is a leading indicator for death from opioid overdose. Opioids can directly trigger the release of histamines from mast cells in the body. This is a key component of allergic reactions. In asthma, this can lead to bronchoconstriction, which is tightening of the airways. Opioids can directly inhibit the neurogenic mucus secretion in the airways. And with the histamine release, this also can cause itching. A lot of people that are taking opioids, you will see them frequently scratching their nose, their face, rubbing their face, because there is a histamine release that takes place with the use of opioids. And if you really think about it, so codeine is an opioid. If you think about it, there is a cough medicine that they give people that has codeine in it because it suppresses cough. It suppresses that urge to cough. So if you are taking opioids and you nod out, you're not conscious during that nod. And now the scary thing is that if you read any of these websites about opioid abuse, substance abuse, they will tell you that that death rattle sound is a sign of opioid overdose. That's listed everywhere as a sign of overdose. So it is scary that this is something that occurs with her very regularly. And if I didn't see her waking so easily from it, I would be a lot more concerned. But it's not a good sign that that is happening. I read another website that did a study of 140 patients taking opioids, and it showed that 75% of these patients had either obstructive sleep apnea or central sleep apnea or both, and that it does exacerbate their asthma symptoms. So that was another thing. I hear people mentioning a lot that she has sleep apnea, that she needs a sleep study, and that is also very possible. And if there are substances being abused with that, it is a very dangerous game that she is playing with that because you can't control that. If you are under the influence of a substance, you're not in control of those nods and what your body is doing when you nod. So you have the decreased consciousness with the nod and the inability to clear the secretions. So they sit there right at the back of the throat. And every breath is filtered through those secretions. That's why you hear that noise. In the last few nights of these true crime streams, we have heard this really badly. We have heard a child in the background saying mom to bring her back around, but there's been a lot of even mid-sentence nods, and this rattle has been major. Oh, I forgot about this. BJ, Granny did not call your attorney. Quit spreading that. Quit running with that. It didn't happen. She has not called either of your attorneys. She definitely hasn't called Rancher, and she did not call Lesniak while he was your attorney. She called Lesniak before there was ever any litigation filed. She did not call crying. She was actually angry when she called because it was right after Nick had come into her chat and threatened her and then went to X and doxed her. So quit trying to run with the whole Granny called my attorney. And the reason she immediately said no was because what was being discussed is Rancher and the whole situation with the declaratory judgment in Pennsylvania being filed and him not representing you. That's when it was brought up. And she definitely didn't call him, but she didn't call Lesniak while he was your attorney either. And she didn't call him multiple times. So quit spreading rumors and gossip because that did not happen. And of course, you still have Craig in the background saying that Rancher hasn't even done the big promises and still saying there's more to come. There's more to come. Y'all just wait. There's more to come. And still talking about defamation lawsuits. And this is why people are getting angry and wanting money back and getting upset over things because nothing adds up. Nothing makes sense. There is no way that this flat rate attorney that's being paid $8,000 flat rate can cover multiple defamation lawsuits on people. It just doesn't happen. Like I said earlier, it doesn't make sense that you still are in touch with this attorney, but you didn't know that you couldn't just call up Granny's attorney and talk to him. Like, you're still in contact with this attorney, but he didn't file a motion to get removed off of the Pennsylvania filing. None of it adds up. And for y'all to still be sitting back there making all these legal threats is exactly why Granny filed for that judgment. And it's why people are questioning things. And it's why you aren't transparent, because this has been 4 months of promises and 4 months of just wait. Next week, you're going to see this is going to be a good week for us. September 1st, this is going to happen. And then the week after that, it's going to happen. It's always, the goalpost is always moving. It's always going to be something really bad. And like, it's getting really irritating for your subs as well as everybody. And you're once again talking about how traumatized you are by everything. It's trauma that someone drove by your house. It's trauma that CPS knocked on your door. Again, I go back to all of the things that you have told us about or that we have learned about that has happened in your life. And these are the things that you reference as trauma. In my opinion, it's a flat out lie. There is no way that a stranger driving by your house that you would have never known about, if QB hadn't played it, you would have never known it happened. But that is trauma to you. CPS knocking on your door whenever you're claiming you haven't done anything wrong. You're perfectly good parents and you're raising your children right, and they were impressed by you. Why is that traumatic? I don't understand. As I've told you before, when my ex weaponized CPS and kept threatening it towards me, my response was, here's the phone number. Do it. Quit threatening me with it. Do it. If you think I'm a bad parent, call them. I don't understand what is traumatic about that. I would think that being a victim of SA would be trauma. I would think that being a victim of DV would be trauma. But someone driving past your house and CPS knocking on your door, not so much. Not so much. Like, is there anything in your life that is not considered trauma by you? Anything at all? Because it's something new every day. There's some new trauma mentioned every day. You don't ever just have a normal day where you wake up and have a good day and go to bed. Never. I've never heard it. You are your own trauma. And I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. I've never heard you have a good, normal day. Does it ever happen? I've heard you say you've got PTSD from getting demonetized, PTSD from people leaving you that you didn't expect would leave. Like, I've heard through these years, I've heard so many stupid things being the cause of PTSD and trauma. It's actually insulting to people who actually have been through trauma and who actually have PTSD. She's really mad at Truth and has called him lots of wonderful things. And she starts with this whole content thing. Nobody has content. BJ is everybody's content. Nobody else is original. Nobody else is a creator. All they do is stream her. Can anybody tell me what she does that is original? Can anybody tell me content that she has created on her own that doesn't involve streaming someone else or reading someone else's Facebook? Like, what content has she created? Has she made any videos about a case? Has she put together any interesting informational videos about a case that she's covering? Has she edited any videos? Has she put together any slideshow screenshots? Anything like that of any cases? Or is she simply restreaming news stories or other creators and commentating just like everybody else is? I get so tired of hearing, you don't need to get your own content. You don't have your own content. And then turn around 5 minutes later and she's playing law and crimes content. I mean, okay. And by the way, again, BJ, you might want to touch up on your knowledge of fair use, because the way that you used law and crimes coverage the other night, not fair use. There were segments of 10 minutes that went by that you didn't say a word, that you were actually audibly not conscious. So
the guy, why did they wait so long? Hold on, guys. I just hold on. I don't understand it either. I don't understand it either, God.
This whole other people don't use fair use, you need to brush up on it because you are far from it, sister. I also heard Craig say that Nana has main character syndrome. Nana, of all people, while BJ sits over there and makes the entire world revolve around her. Anything anybody says, somehow she relates back to her, and somehow it victimizes her. She's gonna figure out a way. She has main character syndrome. I've never seen Nana trying to be the center of attention everywhere she goes, or trying to be the topic of conversation everywhere she goes. Just because Nana likes to get on a panel and talk to people and have fun and laugh does not mean that she is trying to be the main character. I don't see that at all. It's quite comical because I think that BJ and Craig both suffer from main character syndrome themselves. They are both very narcissistic, in my opinion, very ego driven, full of themselves, and the world revolves around them in their eyes. However, there's, I need to be nice. There's multiple things I could say. And I don't understand, it's interesting to me that there are people that come on here and do certain things over and over again and expect others to be okay with the things that they're doing. But then when it's turned around on them and done back, it's not okay. And it actually hurts them. And look, and I don't want anybody to be hurt by things said on here. Like, I don't think that we be doing that type of thing. But I also see that when it's being done to you, you want to do it back. I understand that. So I have seen people get on here and act like they are the badass of the community and go at people and say horrendous things about people, call people out and act like they are better than other people. But then something is turned around on them, a comment is turned around on them, an insult is turned around on them, and it hurt them and it caused them to be very upset. And it really all comes down to that we're all human and we all want to get on here and act like we are big and bad and tough and nothing hurts us and that we um, don't take anything seriously. We let everything just roll off our back and we don't think twice about some of the things that are said about us. But I don't believe that's true. I think all of us have our own insecurities. All of us have some part of us that is sensitive, some part of us that we aren't confident about, and that people can hit on, not even knowing that they're getting to you. And sometimes it gets to be too much. And I think, however, when the response back is to do things like post a selfie of yourself and say a comment like, there's no holes in the wall behind me. Why do we have to do that? And why does it so frequently have to be talked about financially? That you're better than someone because of financial status. I think Truth came on here the other day and said something like, can we stop assuming that our entire audience are poor people that are all on disability, home alone, and have no money? And I was a little confused by the comment. And I do hear a lot of people talking about certain chats and talking about people being vulnerable and being on disability and being taken advantage of and spending their last dollar supporting people. So we do hear that a lot, yeah. But there are people that happens to. Now, I do think that a large portion of our community are people with careers who um, are financially stable, who are doing well, who can afford to come on here and gift people and donate and all of that. And that's great. I also think that there's a good portion of us that are not in a position to donate a lot of money. And it may not be necessarily that we're poor, but just we're getting by. I personally don't want to label anybody as anything financially because I don't think that defines you, right? Because I think people can get in hard situations and go through hard times and it doesn't say anything about who they are as a person. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I repeat stuff a lot, and I know people are probably like, God, stop. But whenever I was going into homes nursing, I treated everyone the same. I went into homes that had no running water. I went into homes that had actual dirt floors. I also went into homes that were $1 million homes with only the nicest things. I treated patients on both ends of the spectrum exactly the same. I treated them as I would want my family to be treated, and I wish everybody could adopt that thought process to treat people the way that you would want your brother treated, your sister treated, your mom treated, any of that. Financial status is one of the biggest things that I think just doesn't matter. It doesn't make you a certain type of person. I actually can say I had a family that had no running water, and I got called out to attend a death in the middle of the night. and this house was in the middle of nowhere in the middle of woods. And I pull up to it at 2 o'clock in the morning and I see they've got a huge bonfire going out front and there's a whole lot of people there. And I had already been told ahead of time, that they don't have running water because we had to prepare for cleaning the body when we get there. And so I already knew that this was, the type of home that I was going into because I had to know, right? But I see all these people there and I go in and this was the warmest family. Like, I can't explain just the feeling in there. They were all just sitting around their family member who was in the hospital bed, and they were telling stories about memories that they had. And these were recent memories. And they were memories about doing things, being outdoors and doing things, adventures they'd gone on, four wheelers, just stories. And they were laughing and enjoying remembering. And I just remember thinking how close these people were. They had no technology. They were not dependent on their phones, computers, tablets. They were dependent on each other. And they were so close. And it really sank into me how much technology has ended that way of life for so many people. So it just kind of makes you think, if you were sitting in a room with your family right now, what kind of memories would you have? Would you have a lot of stories to sit around and tell? Would you have adventures? Would you laugh together? Or would you all be on your devices separated with not much to talk about? What kind of memories are you making? That's one thing being in that line of work and being with people that are terminal all the time and getting to be with people during the last months of their life. I always found it to be an honor. I think there's two times that families are most vulnerable and they're most, it is the biggest honor to be included in because it's moments that they'll always remember, and that is birth and death. And I always saw it as an honor to be allowed into the family dynamic, the family home, into their story as their loved one passes. It was always an honor to be there and always saw it that way. And what I hated seeing was regret. And there's so many people that get to end of life and have regrets for things they didn't do, regrets for relationships they didn't mend, regrets for not spending enough time with someone, things that at that point that they can't fix. And they'll always have that regret and trying to work through that as you know that your time is coming to an end. So you try to live life like so that you don't have regrets. Try to live your life so that you have memories, so that if you were sitting around in that room, it wouldn't be a silent room. It would be a warm room full of laughter and stories and happiness. And I don't know how I got off on that tangent at all, but it's just something that always sticks with me and is like one of my best memories of working, of taking care of people was that night. And you never know how much impact you're having on people either, because I'm sure if I were to see that family out today, they would have no idea the impact that they had on me and that they are a story, a moment in my life that I will remember. And you never know when you're gonna be that to someone else, right? I remember what brought me there, talking about not judging people for not having money. Um, so anyway, I do think a lot of people on here are successful and have careers and in a good place. But a hard fact is that a lot of people on here are on disability. A lot of people on here are at home and can't get out. They're homebound and spend a lot of time on here. This is their social interaction. This is what they turn to escape from the pain of reality of life. And you also have to realize a fourth of people on disability are on disability because of psychological issues. And some of those aren't treated. And we are interacting with these people every day. And you never know what they're going through. And you never know if they are vulnerable, if they are in a place to be taken advantage of. And you have people like BJ who come along and present themselves as something completely different than they are, and present themselves as this kind, sweet person who would never do anything to harm you or to take advantage of you. And it's really a bad situation for people who can't differentiate. And I think that there are people, and I think there's a lot of people in her audience who fall into that category of being vulnerable and kind of falling for her fake persona that she presents, the sweet Southern Christian mama that she puts forward that she really isn't. And I think that's why so many of us feel so strongly about speaking out about what she does and trying to keep people from falling into that trap, because the people that walk away from it see what it is once they leave, but then it's too late and the damage is already been done. And I was going to continue talking for quite a while, but my voice is tired. The only other thing I wanted to touch on is BJ made a comment and said for everybody to quit thinking so black and white. Everything's not black and white. And what I have to say to BJ is the court thinks in black and white. The court doesn't see your gray emotional area. The court sees following your rules and not following the rules, following the law and not following the law. There is no in between. There is no room for convincing them otherwise. So, just so you know, you might want to adopt some of that black and white thinking as you move into the legal system. All right, I think I'm done talking. I will do another one of these very soon. I do have 2 videos almost ready to release. So those will be coming probably over the weekend. And I hope that everybody has an amazing weekend. And I will talk to y'all soon.